Welcome back to Girls Only Sports. I'm Candace. This is Kay. We're back for another episode.
Back to back. Real quick. We was real quick with these ones.
Well, because now women's sports don't end. Like, we used to get a break.
When is the off season?
Right. No more off season. No pun intended to the new show that's on too.
Oh yeah. Have you watched it?
I haven't watched it yet. I'm gonna have to.
Me either.
We got so much to watch. The documentaries, like Peacock has a lot of them. And then Netflix has one about the soccer team and the controversy at the World Cup. So we need to get on one of these social medias and start recapping.
We do. We got to watch them.
Yeah, we got to break them all down. We still didn't do Serena's. She had in the arena.
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
Not who on the go.
I already said Sabrina, and I'm like, and that's good.
Oh, shame.
No. It's just shocking. Right. Jarring, one might say.
See, now we got basketball on the brain, but today's episode is going to be all about soccer, women's soccer, what's going on in that world, because we're on a little mini international break in the NWSL, so we felt like WNBA season is over. Women's basketball season is about to start, so we have this opportunity to shine a light on professional women's soccer, what's going on in that world. So please follow us, comment, like, subscribe, everything. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Girls Only Sports. Check us out. We're cool. Chat.
We're cool.
Like, I don't know how else to say it. Even if you bring
have
up
a conversation
that have absolutely nothing to do.
Candace, why would you bring that up to me?
I'm sorry. Maybe we should get in the show.
Right, because you know I'm triggered.
We're going to get a comment, even though we're talking about soccer. We'll see what kind of feedback we get.
You're right. We'll see.
Yeah. But I know you guys didn't want to hear us gossip, so we're going to go right into it. The NWSL takeover is going to start off our full court press. So the regular season is over. We had some...
Not quite.
It's not over.
One more game. This weekend is the last game. But
now, before we get into it, are there any teams like on the bubble where this one game can matter?
I think there's only really one team left that has a chance, but it comes down to Bay FC needs to lose and Racing Louisville needs to win, and they'll flip-flop based off your favorite point differential.
Yeah.
So if Bay loses and Racing wins, they'll have the same points. However, Bay FC's point differential is worse than Racing, so that will put Racing above the line. And that's really the only team that has hope left.
Okay. So we still got some things to figure out before the playoffs take shape. But there was history made during the regular season this year.
Yes, it was. Kansas City current Chewinga, 20 goals, 6 assists on the season. She broke 2 records, actually. Only first player to score against all 13 teams. Opponent, obviously she can't score against her own team, but all 13 teams
she can do an own goal
in one season. Right, that's true. That's the next one she'll break. She'll do it just for fun.
Right.
Scored against all 13 teams, as well as breaking the NWSL single scoring record, and that's with one game left. And the way she's going, I expect it to be more than that. So shout out to her.
Shout out. We love goal scorers. Like I think I'm turning into
that's
like
your favorite.
That's my favorite. Like I need to get more into defense. No, I will say this. Penalty kick saves is my fave.
That is true. You do like that.
Second is penalty kick, the goalkeeper who can penalty kick herself and then actually save a goal. That's my second fave.
So what I'm hearing is she's an Listenaire fan. That's it.
And then, is anybody who can score a lot of goals. So shout out to Chewinga and her season. And then we got a team, Orlando Pride, who walked away with the Shield this year.
Yeah, early. They think they had 3-4 games left, and they won the Shield. Nobody could catch them at that point. Went undefeated, broke another team breaking records, 23 games undefeated. And it's that thing where I'm always like, I hate to be the one to be like, I want them to stop this streak, but I wanted them to lose one before the playoffs because it's just like you go into the playoffs undefeated. And they've lost they lost twice in a row since winning the Shield. And it's just like one of those things, like if you're going in undefeated into the playoffs, it's just so nervy. Like, can they keep this streak alive? Granted, it would have been beautiful to see them win go all the way undefeated. That would have been spectacular, but I don't know. Getting that first loss is just like, get it out.
But now that you mentioned that and heading into the playoffs, like, what does it say about a team, like you said, who won 20 straight and then lost 2? Now you're going into the playoffs. Obviously, you've been the better team all year.
Yeah.
We know what momentum is going into the playoffs when you don't have it.
Exactly. I think that's the thing that it I don't know. Because it's like, oh yeah, of course we want to go undefeated. We want to, keep the streak going. However, losing the games at the end of the season feels worse. It feels like you're trying to dropping in form versus losing that mid-season. Because you look at a team like Kansas City, who at the beginning of the season was right there with Orlando. They went, I think 14, 15 games undefeated as well, if not more. And then they went on a drop. They went on a decline, but they're right on the rise back up now. And they're on a nice little win streak headed into the playoffs. So it's a balancing act, that one. You get nervous with it. So I think for Orlando, you got it out your system.
Right.
Hopefully they can pull off one more win heading into the playoffs to give them a little bit of more momentum boost and make sure they keep that spirit in them, that they know that they still that team. We still did go 23 undefeated.
Right. So getting into the playoff race a little bit, we talk about Orlando and what they can do. I'm not going to get into your chances. I'm going to save that. But who's some of the other teams that are playing really, really well that you see kind of shaking and moving? Is it going to be similar to the league, the league we just ended, where the 2 top teams are going to wind up in the championship?
Right.
Or are there some kind of middling teams that can shake some things up?
Let's see. Let's run them down. So we got in first place right now, Orlando, second place, Washington, New York, in third, Kansas City, in fourth. That's your top 4. And then you look at the last 4 spots: North Carolina, Chicago Red Stars, Portland Thorns, Bay FC, potentially. And it's like, when it comes down to the top 8 teams going, those can still move around. It's not, guaranteed as far as like certain places. That top 4 especially, I can't say whose it is. If you ask me, going like on paper, you look at Orlando and you're like, oh, they got it.
Right.
They went 23 undefeated. They're good.
But the momentum is a little shaky.
And then Washington, that was a team that I spoke on earlier in the year, and just, they're not one to sleep on. They've been riddled with injuries, and they've had a really unfortunate time, but still they're number 2 right now. And they're sitting pretty with it. Like they're so a little nervy. I don't know. I think it is one where you can have some surprises. North Carolina plays great at home. Kansas City at home. I wouldn't want to go to Kansas City. Like, and the final is in KC. If KC gets to that final,
home court advantage.
That's scary. Home field advantage. She loves basketball.
I love basketball. All you're going to hear is a whole bunch of basketball references in soccer.
Right. But yeah, I think this season it's anybody's to win. If you had to pick one team, just pick a guess. Who's your favorite to win? Yeah. See, me personally,
I'm not gonna go number 1. I'm gonna go for a repeat.
Oh, you go New York?
I'm gonna go New York. It seemed well. The Yankees did get not embarrassed yesterday, but they had a rough go round.
Call it what it is.
But the Liberty did. The women is holding a title. I think this would be a perfect time for them to try to run it back.
I think that would be very beautiful, very poetic. And I wouldn't be mad at it. A lot of great players there. And they are one that are on a nice little run too towards the end of this season. I don't know. I think it's 2-3 games they've won in a row now. So again, that momentum heading into playoffs is key. And they are definitely on that wave. I think my Martha Hart is going to be loyal to Orlando this season. I'm going to stay loyal to Orlando. I think they're going to catch their stride back, and they want to make something. Like 23 undefeated is great, but we won the Shield. We want the title too.
Shield. We got a homer.
No. I mean, they. No, and the thing too is nobody's ever won the Shield and the title in the same year.
Oh, so it's like
it's
like a curse.
It's a curse.
It's a curse.
So we'll see. Yeah, that one would be very interesting to watch. And again, one more game, and then it's playoff time.
It's playoff
Win or go home.
But we're going to be back to, discuss all the things that happen in the playoffs to see what happens. We'll see if Orlando can get things going. We'll see if New York can repeat. But I just hope both of them teams don't lose. Like,
immediately first round, both of them
and then
out.
we're going to be like, well,
what had happened
our predictions was wrong.
Right.
Right. But to continue on, that was the NWSL story. But what's going on in the Euro leagues? Well, first, there was an announcement, $830 million investment. UEFA, what kind of numbers are we talking about now? $830 million?
Over up to 2030. So it's over a span of some years.
$830 million?
Right. When I first seen it, they were like $1 billion. I said $1 billion investment.
In women's sports? Oh my God. What is going on?
Listen, they believe in it. And I think Europe is the perfect place for it. I think everybody over there, it's such a soccer heavy nation over there. All of the nations over there are very soccer heavy. So the investment is not a surprise. I think it's time. I think they're seeing the growth already.
For sure.
And UEFA has already invested into the women's game back in 2019. And this is just a continuation of a project. So listen, it's the time. Everybody's investing in women's sports. I wish we had the money to.
Listen,
we need our own team.
We sure do in something, or our own network, or like throw the dough here. Invest in us. Everybody want to invest. We can take, $5 million out of the 830.
Yeah, come on,
that's
listen. We can move to Europe.
Right. English is universal language.
Exactly. We'll figure it out.
But yeah, that's always a great thing to hear. And like you said, it's growing here in the States, obviously, to get leagues to grow in Europe as well. And then hopefully, again, some of that can transfer to other federations when we talk about the international game, or I should say national game, when you get to the World Cups and the Olympics and some of the bigger tournaments, and some of those countries can start investing in their women's teams. Who they've been doing a great job. I mean, if there was one word, is parity that exists in women's soccer. So hopefully all that just trickles around to everything and everybody. But a little bit about the teams in the league. So what's going on with Barcelona?
Listen, I don't know. Barcelona, first off, shout out to Barcelona. They did win Team of the Year at the Balon d'Or ceremony a couple of days ago. Last season did a domestic treble. That's the Spanish Cup, league title, and Copa de la Reina. And back-to-back Champions League winner last season and the year before. They had quite the run. I think it's well-deserved. I don't think anybody in the world was arguing that Barcelona was the best team in the world last year. This year, however, I don't think Barcelona's going... I don't want to say I don't think they're going to win everything because they are in a league that still needs to develop. However, I think when it comes to them playing the other European nations and stuff like that, they're going to have a challenge. And I think, again, it's like those things like we talk about in basketball. Teams are preparing probably just for Barcelona solely.
What happens when they prepare to beat you? It's a little different.
Exactly. So they did lose to Manchester City in the Champions League already. And I don't think it's a season where they go. I think they only had 2 draws on the whole season over all competition, maybe 3. I might be being dramatic, but there was no losses. There was 1 loss to Chelsea. But still, it's one of those things where it's hard when people are preparing for you solely, especially in that Champions League competition. That's all the big nations over there, all the best talent, all the best teams from every league, and you got to come ready. And it's never easy for them anyway. And I think you go back to back, you do the domestic treble, people are going to prepare. And I think that's what we're seeing this year for Barcelona. It's not been easy. Even in their league, it's not been easy. And I think that again shows the growth that UEFA is seeing as well, to make the investment when all these the teams are getting better. So it's not just, it's Barcelona's every year. You don't know. I don't know.
And that's probably something I'm going to have to get used to just in all women's sports. I mean, I'm going to try not to use basketball as an example, but, for years, it was in women's college basketball, it was Tennessee and UConn. And how long
Right.
did that
Yep.
rivalry go on until you got parity, you got investment, you
Yep.
got players started to go to other places. Obviously, you see it, as we mentioned, on the national stage when we get to the bigger soccer tournaments. But now you see it in the leagues when you can get multiple great players on all of these teams. You're not going to see back-to-back champions, and you just coined a new word, the domestic treble.
Domestic treble, all three of them. Every title they could win, they won.
Right. It's going to be one of those things where it's going to become a rarity where these teams are actually going to be able to pull off, be dominant in back-to-back years, or be dominant in a three-peat fashion or stuff like that, because the players are too good, the teams are too good. Everybody's consolidating to be the best, and unfortunately, you can't just keep running the gamut.
Right.
But you mentioned the Balon d'Or and Barcelona being able to win Team of the Year. However, there's some other news. I mean, the Balon d'Or this year, men's and women's, but this is girls only sports, just controversial.
Right. Controversy.
For the women, it's always been controversial.
Right.
Even up until actually getting them included into the award ceremony. And then even this ceremony itself is hardly any of the women could attend because they're on international break and they have to play and or the coaches have to coach. So the representatives there is like the Oscars of soccer, and all of your women actresses aren't there. Like, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I've seen that comparison too, and it's unfortunate too because and there's always the conversation, we're working on it. How hard is it? Like, just change the date.
Just change the date. Like,
I'm confused.
I'm pretty sure there's a date in there somewhere where all the people can be available to just go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's not impossible.
Right. It's unfortunate that there's not that representation. Again, benefit of the doubt, I guess, that the women's trophy is newer. So I understand.
No. 2018 is enough time. Like, you had all of COVID, so y'all could even do it virtually.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
And technically, they just took it from there because most of the women I know, Emma Hayes had to accept her award virtually, so they had enough time and an Olympic year to figure out how to get the logistics right. I'm not giving them a break. Like, come on,
no benefit of the doubt.
No benefit of the doubt. Not for an award ceremony that's been in existence since the 50s. Like, come on, how hard can it be?
But, and it's like it's one of those awards where it's like that's the pinnacle. Like, that's what you're reaching for, and that's what you want to succeed to as a player. So it's really unfortunate. Like, even if nominated, that you can't be there. It's such an honor to even be in that conversation, though, that top 30 player. So, one day we'll get our flowers and we can stop complaining about everything.
One day we'll be invited to the award ceremony. We don't have to play in a game or coach, but we do got a two-time winner in the Balon d'Or. So can you break down what her season was like?
Aitana Bonmatí. Listen, my girl, I love the Spanish girlies.
Sure do.
Back-to-back Balon d'Or winner. Following in the footsteps of her teammate Alexia Putellas, who won it back-to-back right before her. So that's 4 years in a row. Barcelona is owning this title. It's the thing too, like, there was so much conversation. Is she going to go back-to-back? Is her teammate Caroline Graham Hansen going to win it? It's so hard because they're both so instrumental to the success of Barcelona.
Right.
And then I think you look on a national level, and Caroline Graham Hansen just doesn't play for she doesn't play for Spain. Norway's just not up to the you know what I mean? Like,
are they playing politics?
Right. But I think it's it's unfortunate that you can't give them all it, but Aitana had quite the season. You can't knock it. 19 goals, 7 assists, Champions League player of the season, Champions League finals player of the match. Like, the stats is there. Right. The stats is statting.
and let's not mistake about it. She was there to get her award.
And she was every year.
Like, she's playing no games. Like,
at all. No.
I'm gonna make it there.
at the game the next day. So
right.
Alexia was at the match the next day. So they showed up and they're like, we getting our awards.
Right.
Right. I'm not mad at them.
But we also had some American representation in the top. Well, we had a lot of American representation on the top 30 players that were nominated for the Balon d'Or. The Triple Espresso obviously were there 4th, 6th, and 9th. So Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson, and Trinity Rodman. Lindsey Horan was 5th, the captain, and my favorite player, Alyssa Nair, was 17th. So my question to you, because we all know what Triple Espresso did not only during the Olympics, but the year that they're having in the NWSL, but break down for me, what are the chances for any player in the NWSL to compete with some of the European leagues to actually be able to win a Balon d'Or? Like, what would they need to do? Is it goals? Is it just having an overall dominant season? What's the likelihood of a Sophia, a Mallory, a Trinity, Alyssa? What's the likelihood of them ever being awarded the Balon d'Or? Or is the competition just too high?
Do you want me to be the real answer?
Political answer first, and then I want real.
Okay, so political answer is, I think it's just going to come down to proving yourself on a national level for these NWSL players, as far as Olympics, World Cups, those, when you get to see them playing against other nations in Europe. Real answer, y'all gonna have to lead the NWSL.
Dang.
I really think it comes down to that, because until there's a respect put on the NWSL as a competitive league like the European leagues, I think there's just this notion that the NWSL is just not a competitive league. But when you look at it, the European players coming over to the NWSL this season is higher than it's ever been.
Right.
And at what point? So then at that point, are those European players just no longer good because they're playing? You know what I mean? So
because I think it's going to be inferior competition.
Exactly. I think it's going to come down to, really, people are going to get to a point where you have to respect the NWSL. The NWSL is one of the most competitive leagues there is out there, especially when you see like those end of the year going into the playoffs. It's a fight in these leagues. Whereas, not to knock it, Chelsea was running the WSL 5 years in a row for it was, you knew. I couldn't stand Emma Hayes. I'm like, can we get one, Emma?
Hey, but when it works, it works.
When it works, it works. And that's really, it's unfortunate, because like I said, NWSL is very competitive. The level of play is extremely high. They're professionals just like anybody else. And I think it's just going to come down to being a bit more, having a bit more respect on the league. And it'll come with time. It'll come with the growth that we're currently seeing. And there's players like, Chawinga, if Chawinga's not on that short list next year, just because she's playing in NWSL, and it's hard too when you play for nations that aren't big on the list, and they're not going to make, you know what I mean? So it's harder, but listen.
Right. And
the girls is balling out too.
Right. And then, not to put it to, like you said, it's going to take a lot of work. Trinity, they're babies still, relatively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
they're still developing. Like, can you imagine? Like,
James
I see
Shaw,
Trinity,
like, you have like they're 19, 18, 20, I forget 21.
That they're kids. Yeah. Like, not kids, like Trinity's a grown woman, but I'm like, I forget that she's not 24 plus. You know what I mean? When you watch them play, you realize, oh, she's just been around so long. And I say it all the time. It's one of those things you can forget, and they're just now hitting their stride. So it's going to be more to come for them.
Right. And you mentioned Chelsea running the gamut all those years, and their coach, Emma Hayes, won the inaugural Coach of the Year Balon d'Or, because 2024 is the optimal time to award a female manager in soccer, because we just got done playing soccer. This is the first year ever.
You guys do that? I thought y'all just let them play for fun.
I thought you just play for fun. Why do they need a manager? But no, I mean, for Emma Hayes to make the jump to take over the U.S. women's national team. I know, a lot of it comes from her history in the European leagues, but, in my mind is you took a team who everybody was basically saying the world is caught up.
Yeah.
Your strategies, your player, you're choosing everybody's in the past, nobody's in the future. What are you going to do? She comes over here and 10 months walks away with a gold medal. And Emma Hayes winning the inaugural award. Like, what do you say about that?
Listen, I'm not mad at Emma. Listen, I'm still me and Emma's relationship is still growing because I'm still bitter from those 5 years I heard at Chelsea. But you can't deny it. Emma is a proven winner. She's just one of those coaches I talk about all the time that you just demands respect from anybody. You meet other players. It doesn't matter if you were on Chelsea, if you were on Manchester City, Arsenal, whoever. You respect Emma Hayes, and for her to come in and win, how many months was it? 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years, 3 months. Actually being in camp with them and then to go and win an Olympic gold is just, it speaks for itself, and you can't deny that the Emma Hayes effect, and it's been proven.
Right.
And
it ain't like it was without, like, if there was pressure for a coach, like, ma'am.
Oh yeah.
It was you and Cheryl Reeve. Y'all had the spotlight.
Yeah, you better get us back to the Olympic gold.
Y'all need to go, because other than that, they probably would have torn down the whole US WNT, like tear it all down, like, and then making some of the roster decisions that she had and going with her young guns, like, yeah, that job was not easy.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, what do you think? So we'll just jump to this one.
Okay.
Because Emma Hayes brought it up in her when she talked about winning Coach of the Year. The omission of everybody's favorite, America's sweetheart. I believe she was crowned last night.
Right.
Naomi Gurma being left off that Balon d'Or conversation.
I could always take this into like an overall sports thing, and I promise it's not one of those things where I'm switching it back and forth between sports that I know and sports that I don't. But this is in general for everything. People just enjoy offense. They prioritize offense. Who scores the most? Who's the most? Who's the flashy? Who's getting the kills in volleyball? Like, it does not matter what sport you play. We like who scores. That is who we pay attention to. And so for somebody to be as respected as Naomi Gurma as a defensive player, and it's like the world respects her. It's not just the U.S. Women's national team. Like, no, like you actually have opposing national teams saying one thing you don't have to worry about on the U.S. national team is their defense, because Naomi Gurma is back there and she runs the show. I just think hopefully with her presence, and now that since she's scoring goals now,
goals scoring Gurma,
she's scoring goals, that now people will actually pay more attention to what it means to be an elite defender. Outside of a goalie, what does that look like? What does it mean? And I think if she's able to be on that short list and potentially get top 15, top 5 in voting or ranking, then that would just open up the door that, hey, we can give credit and salute other players on the pitch or the field that are just not scoring all the goals. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong. Everybody has their role. Forwards have their role. The midfield has their role. The defense, the goalie. Everybody has to do what they have to do. But when you have an elite defender.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It changes the entire dynamic of your team. And I think Emma Hayes was correct that you have everybody globally recognizing this is the best defender in the world. Yeah. And yet she's not anywhere near your top 30 players. It's just like,
Yeah, for me, it can't keep happening, because even last year, leaving her off the FIFA best team of defenders, it's just, at this point, it's disrespect. Right. Like, shout out to Emma for calling it out, because you got to call it what it is. Like, she is the best defender in the world right now. Right. She's one of the top defenders. And there are a few defenders on that top 30 list, and I'm sorry, I'm picking Naomi Gurma over every single one of them. Right. And it's not a knock on them. They're great players. They're players I love. They're players I respect and enjoy watching. But no, there's not a defender on that list that I'm putting above Naomi Gurma. I'm just simply not. So it was a huge shout to Emma Hayes to even call it out, because at what point the disrespect got to stop.
But Emma Hayes got her favorites, and I'm sorry, Naomi Gurma's on that short list, and I think everybody knows it.
I think Naomi Gurma's on everybody's favorite list.
Right. I'm like, you asked the head coach of the national team who your favorite player. Sorry, y'all got competition, because she's gonna bring Gurma up. You'll be like, this every conversation she go into.
She do though.
It don't matter.
But also Naomi Gurma.
Like, you were supposed to be talking about you winning an award as a coach, you not being able to go for, but you got international games. And she was like, no, I'm going to talk about how Naomi Gurma is not on the list.
Right. You could ask Naomi, what you about to be for Halloween? She'd be like, I'm going to be whatever. But did you see Naomi Gurma last night?
Right. And
she's
you know what?
Fan.
That makes perfect sense. So now she's moving Naomi up in the pitch so she can actually score the goals last night. So
let's start midfield and move her up to strike. It's just ease into it.
Right.
Goal scoring Gurma is here.
Shout out to them. But that was our full court press, running through some things in soccer. But always our favorite time is we like to talk about things that get a little deeper. And one of the things that we keep saying is everybody's favorite sports are sports that women play. It's all the rage.
Yeah.
But there's just some things that are going to be unique with all of the attention that comes in. Not only the attention, but how all of these leagues are going to be able to run. Just because there are different things you run into when you have a league full of professional women. And one of those things are women being mothers, or potentially wanting to become mothers during their playing career, what that means for teams, what that means for contracts. We see in the WNBA, that's one of their collective bargaining things that they want to work on, pregnancy and family planning benefits and things like that. We saw with the De'Erica Hamby lawsuit that the impermissible benefits that are under the table, some of them are paying potentially, allegedly paying for a player's child's private school and things like that. But this all brings me back to, as soccer is our theme for this show, is Angel City was fined $200,000, and then they were deducted 3 points in the standings for this year's league after it was revealed that they were over their salary cap. Their team president and CEO, Julie Ehrman, and their general manager, Angela Hucles, were suspended for the rest of this year because of that fine. And what has been explained is that these were the steepest fines in league history for any kind of sporting infraction. And the deduction dropped Angel City to 12th place. So 9 points outside of playoff position. But this was, some time ago when the news kind of broke. But I bring this up and the pregnancy stuff up because it has been alleged that the monies over the salary cap were the team actually giving benefits to players who are mothers. Correct. And it's one of those things of how do you even begin to prepare to not penalize teams for wanting to give benefit to players who are mothers. It's not something you have to do in men's sports, as we know, but I can't knock a team or fine them. Yes, they were fined $200,000 and over the salary cap is against the rules, but any kind of care for your professional athlete and the care for their children, I can't be mad at that.
Exactly. And I think when people first heard the fine, it was not clear what the salary cap violation was. Since their short 3 years, Angel City has found herself in a bit
they stay in the news. They like the Aces.
Yeah. Right. They the Aces. I swear I was going to say that to you. They're the Aces of the NWSL. They've been getting fined since day one when they announced Krista Press too early. I think people just assumed it was going to be Angel City being Angel City. But when you think about like you said, in men's professional sports, you don't have to take into consideration because it's just always assumed that the mother's going to be there to take care of it.
Right.
When the mother is the professional and this is her career, and like you have to, I feel like there has to be a space separate from what I'm paying my players to allow that within the league. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate. And what do you expect them to do? Like, what do you expect them to do?
Right. And I can't, like you said, I think it's a pretty good solution to make it separate. And then it's a competitive advantage too. I'm sorry. Yeah. If your team doesn't want to support mothers on your team, then you're going to be, and we see what happens after some of these players have babies. They turn
into superwomen.
They turn into superwomen and superheroes. Like, they get skills that they hadn't had before. You're missing out on potentially great players because you don't want to provide the added benefit. And like I said, I don't think you should be penalized for that. And Sydney Leroux, who happens to be probably, I can't say, she's probably one of the most, in the new iteration of women's soccer, probably the most famous soccer mom. Because, during the was it the 2015 and then the 2019, like, it was Sydney Leroux and her two kids and things like that. So she released a statement that said, since the inception of this league, players have pushed the NWSL to a world-class standard and will continue to fight for our league to be inclusive and supportive. She then said the NWSL should not force a mother to choose between chasing her dreams or having children, nor should teams be forced to choose between having mothers on their roster or not. While I understand that mistakes were made by Angel City, I sincerely hope that the league reevaluates its policies around childcare and supporting working moms, as that should be encouraged and never subjected to the salary cap. I can't be mad at Sydney. Like,
listen, say what she said.
Can't be mad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do think there has to be an avenue, like I said. And if it's deemed a competitive advantage, let that be. I mean, we see it all the time in Major League Baseball, that you have some of these teams who are willing to have billion-dollar payrolls, and you have other teams that's not willing to spend $100 million for their entire roster. So I think the same thing to an extent can apply. You have teams who are willing to help working mothers on their team, whether it be providing childcare, whether it be paying for good schools. It's a part of getting the best players on your team. Yeah. And in this regard, and now you can bet on everything and all the lines is blurred. Don't get me to start just bringing up stuff that don't even have nothing to do with it. Right. But I think there is, in this new age of sport, there is a way that these professional leagues can carve out space where it's like, hey, here are benefits you can provide to your players who are mothers, who are expectant mothers. Here are protections that you should put in place, because we obviously know some of the controversy that's going on in WNBA. But here are some things that you can provide. It's up to each team whether or not they're willing to do it, but it's not going to be subjected to the salary cap. And your team won't be penalized if you do provide these, especially for, let's just say there's 5 exemptions. We'll pay for a nanny on the road, or we'll pay for childcare at the facility. Like, these type of things are available to you, and they're not going to be subjected to a salary cap.
Yeah. Hey, what more can you say? I will say shout out to Angel City too, because they doubled down and said they keeping their mama, and Sydney signed her extension. So
sure did. So, and then like at that point, what's the fine for? Like, Angel City got the money, and them are the aces. They the aces of soccer.
They the aces of the league, girl.
They just gonna write the check and say, okay, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna penalize them every year. Now, granted, if it gets to a position where, let's say they're the top team in the league and it knocks them to 6th or 7th, that's probably when this thing will really ramp up and cause a lot of controversy that way. But if your team is willing to pay the cost, hey, that's an NWSL thing that they're gonna have to figure out.
Right.
Yeah, can't be mad at that.
I ain't mad at it at all.
But that was our NWSL Balon d'Or Angel City controversy soccer. We're gonna keep bringing it to you, like we said. Netflix has a huge documentary coming out about the the Spanish national team, I should say, and the controversy when they won the World Cup and dominated, and the kiss her around the world, and we're in that day and age where if a woman doesn't stand up in the moment, nobody wants to do anything, but their players stood up.
Exactly.
And, are continuing to make news and changes and all that. But there's a Netflix documentary that gets into all that. We gotta recap it.
We do. We have to watch it. I think it comes out tomorrow, yeah? The 1st, November 1st. It's out.
We gotta watch it
on Netflix. Yeah, we have to.
We gotta bring it here. But that was our show. Stay with us. We're gonna have, once the NWSL playoffs start, we're gonna run all that stuff down too, and hopefully see if our predictions come right.
Otherwise, I'm gonna be mad.
Fail. Like,
I'm gonna be so
mad. We failed in the in the WNBA. Hopefully, we don't fail in the we
was bad.
We was bad in the NWSL, and then coming soon too, the the NCAA.
Oh yeah, we're gonna do early predictions with that one.
Okay, we got to, because
I got a prediction you gonna hate.
Okay, we're going to save that for that show. Look, follow us on all social media platforms, YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok. Be sure, Girls Only Sport, interact with us, comment, like, subscribe, post, forward, send to your families, cousins, all that. I am Candace, that's Kay, and we're Girls Only Sports.